This series is exploring many speculative arguments and observations about Batman Arkham Knight. This is not meant to be an objective review, rather it is a really deep dive into many aspects of the game. This episode focuses on an aspect of the game that I have more negative thoughts on than positive. I try not to overly hate the game, but doing that in this episode was especially hard. Other episodes will be more negative or positive depending on what the topic is. Please watch till the end before you comment your thoughts. My thoughts are subject to change. What's the difference between Batman Arkham City and Batman Arkham Knight? This is a location from Batman Arkham City. This is a location from Arkham Knight. Both are about the construction of something new, except one is being built over and the other is building over. But there is a lot more that is different about these two locations. The militia are the only non-important characters that tell us more about them. You see regular thugs everywhere, but what are they?
Say, I told you it'd work. Blow the bridges, cut off the Cloud's forces. Easy. But Mr. Cobblepot, we're stuck too. So, we can't get back. And your point is? Well, it's just, you've left us over here with the Joker's crew. Try and take some of them down before you die, son. You bastard.
If you pay attention, you'll realize that the highway system was the only bastion of hope for those who didn't want to be or were not aligned with the three main gangs running the things in Arkham City. Now, every hour,
Protocol 10 will commence in 10 hours.
the orange jumpsuits will disappear and everyone will either be forced to join a gang or die.
Welcome, people of Arkham City. It's good to see so many new faces in the crowd. Fresh faces for the gang.
If you are captured by the other gang, you are converted. The converts have mixed outfits. These thugs react to the story and talk about a lot of stuff. They behave like human beings.
I wanna. It's my turn. You always get your turn.
How about rock, paper, scissors?
What? Can you even play that with three people?
Sure you can. Come on, let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
All paper. What are the odds?
Do I look like I went to school?
1, 2, 3.
Gun beats paper.
No, gun doesn't beat paper. Stick to the rules. I told you, no dynamite.
Two. What was this? Best of three?
This is gonna be a long night.
These are not human beings. Seems almost like every side character uses the same looking thugs, each just commenting on their respective bosses, but nothing to illustrate any human behavior like Arkham City. Why does the story set up the people of Gotham to just be a bunch of apathetic idiots? Why couldn't we get a place where many types of personalities are either uprising or trying to maintain order? Maybe citizens take certain parts of the city and establish order and keep those apathetic types out. Where is the human struggle of the city? No one is at risk unless these idiots are worth a lot to you. But there is a group of people who are individuals, who feel somewhat human, the militia.
Are you okay, man? Yeah, I'm okay. You sure? Yeah, it's just, earlier for, like an instant, like half a second, I think I breathed in a tiny bit of Scarecrow's gas. Jesus, what happened? Nothing at first. But I keep hearing them. Who? There was some prisoners back when I was in the army. They'd killed like 10 of our guys. So we gave them what they deserved.
Who is the militia? All we can go off of is their word. These are people who were kicked out of their respective armies or lost touch with it. I can assume these are people who have been at war, and because of how it affected them, they have nothing else to do but to be in war.
I wish I could be like them, live a normal life, but that's not who I am. I couldn't do that. 9 to 5, dying slow every day. I want to go out fighting.
War is their life now, and if they can't find it in nations, they will find a private war, which is exactly what the Arkham Knight offers them. That is human behavior and motivation. It explains a lot, but not enough. I assumed most of that by what they say in the game, only from a few dialogue moments. But where did the droids and tanks come from? Where did they stay before the war on Gotham? Why did they choose to join a war against something as silly as a bat? Batman Arkham Knight chose to focus on how many versions of a militiaman they could make, or how many weapons they had, or how many damn times you will fight them. They didn't focus on who these people are and what makes it special to actually fight them. What type of effects do these soldiers have on the other people in the city, other than rioters saying they are better than them? Batman Arkham Knight can sometimes be defocused. I won't lie, Batman Arkham Knight has a lot of details. You can basically talk to every single cop, group of thugs, and villain in the GCPD, and that's great. I love stuff like that. I love the advertisements, billboards, and individual shops and company logos, things that make the world feel real. I like how all the roads make sense and every stairway and walkway makes sense. The wind, the thunder, the sounds. Sometimes the thugs will be doing random stuff like sit-ups and playing games together, which is a little close to the rock, paper, scissors example I gave earlier, just has no dialogue or story context. Have we talked about how majestic the waves look in this game? I love the way the streets look under the atmosphere of the fear toxin. I love the way the game looks. The graphics are amazing, and it's hard not to appreciate all of these small details. One story element that I think will show up a lot in this series is how great the Joker is in this game, but the effect and impact that Batman's actions have on other characters is very well focused on, and it is one of the most important and emotional parts of the story, one of the strongest parts.
Come on, finish him. Look at him. He's no better than the creep who killed your parents. You need to do something. You need to stop him. Good.
The game focuses very much on the consequences of people's actions, mainly Bruce himself. You can truly feel the conflict Batman has with other characters like Gordon, Tim Drake, Barbara, and even Jason Todd. As much as I hate the circumstances for how Jason Todd is shoehorned into the game, I absolutely love his fight in the mall, and each piece of dialogue is perfect between him and Bruce.
Bruce. Jason. But you're dead. Let's not fall out here, Bats. I might have told you a teeny tiny little lie. But come on, look at the boy. You did good. We did good. You should be proud.
What's the matter? Lost for words? I expected more. I'm hurt.
Joker sent me the film. I saw him kill you.
Don't you dare lie to me! How long did you wait before replacing me, huh? A month? A week? I trusted you! And you just left me to die!
That's not what happened.
You always told me, Bruce. Focus on what I want to achieve, and it'll happen. You wanna know what I want now, huh? I want you dead. You can't hide from me! I will hunt you down!
Jason Todd choosing not to shoot Batman in the mall and helping him in the end is very emotional and impactful to who Batman is. This is a good character moment. This is the Spider-Man 3 of the Arkham games in a sense.
Boo! You stink!
I say that because Batman in this game hits his lowest point, but can we and the others truly judge him? He has been through everything. He is broken. That theme is held up as well as it needed to be, even if the plot holes and story elements fall face first.
Please! Someone! I'm going to die!
If you go to the Cobblepot Manor, you will notice the protest signs all over it. Save Old Gotham. Most people fly over Founders Island, not thinking much of what it actually is. Founders Island is the destruction of Old Gotham and the foundation of a new one of business and corporations literally stepping on the poor neighborhoods beneath them. I don't blame the people protesting against the tractors getting ready to destroy one of the last old landmarks of this island. Are these people happy that Scarecrow interrupted this building's destruction? The tractors now sit frozen in place. This is an interesting story, but what does Founders Island have to do with the story? How does this build a world that explains its effects on the story? Or is it just there to copy Wonder City's look? Why is Founders Island there? On a side note, this is an act of gentrification on Gotham's part by making a huge financial district and destroying the neighborhoods that used to live there, basically. And that is a huge problem in modern day, actually. And you can see signs all over, billboards all over Gotham that says Future of Gotham, Wayne Enterprises. I'm very confused why they didn't explain at all why Bruce Wayne would be pro-gentrification in this game. Why would he want to destroy these neighborhoods? They don't explain that at all. Bruce Wayne most likely would not support this type of stuff. They need to explain it. That could have been a very cool story element to explain why Wayne Enterprises is supporting this. That's the difference between these two locations. Batman Arkham City spends 2 hours showing you the atmosphere, structure, and the story of Wonder City. Wonder City is a direct connection to the story and what it is about.
This world is doomed. Cities like Gotham will grow to resemble hell breaking through the sidewalk, continuing up into the sky. Structures will grow to blot out the sun, and the people who live in them will be choked by the pollution they create. Eventually, when no space remains, this world will die, struggling for breath as man's mistakes nail the coffin shut. But this doesn't have to be your future, Gotham. There is a better way. Behind this wall is mankind's chance for survival. A glimpse at a future based on an amazing discovery. A discovery that will allow Gotham to rise like Lazarus, becoming a beacon of hope for this world.
Wonder City is the creation of a former Ra's al Ghul who actually thought government and invention could be the savior of Gotham. After its failure, Wonder City stopped construction, and the Great Wonder Tower stopped midway in development until it was built many years later as a tourist attraction, and it is not a coincidence that Hugo Strange is trying to transform Gotham with Ra's al Ghul, but this time, not through invention or government or city infrastructure, but through murder.
I'm so close. Just give me more time.
Too late. I don't give second chances. This is a good day, Detective.
Good? People are dying.
The world will not miss them. Why should you? Look at my work. You may have defeated Strange, but this is just the beginning. Come with me. We will wipe this world clean.
Arkham Knight had these great ideas, but they were under the surface. They were way deep hidden in the game. I just wish they were taken as seriously as the gameplay. World building is the basis of atmosphere and immersion. It builds the world and gives its inhabitants a behavior and lore. Yeah, these thugs from all over the games are just AIs in reality. that mean nothing, but if you do the game right, these people and characters will start to trick your mind until you truly feel or see them as individuals. That's a very, very valuable aspect of any media. When I play Arkham Knight, the world building it's just not something I expected from the last game in the series. Arkham City is a massive prison, so everything in the game is based off that point and built off that point. I have talked about the thugs and how the gangs work, but everything from the walls and tiger billboards to the tiger helicopters to Hugo Strange announcing the rules and how many hours you have till you die, the political prisoners, and the fact that the construction of the prison literally altered how the prison fundamentally works. This all builds the world, it makes it believable, and it makes you feel like you are actually there. Everything in Arkham City connects, figuratively and literally. Because of the construction of Arkham City, the amusement mile collapsed into the water, making the conditions for the highway being a crucial traveling point, which also makes it very smart for Penguin to blow up the bridge, cutting off the Joker gang, which then causes the gangs to accumulate faster, because there's nowhere for the orange jumpsuits to go anymore. And this makes the underground subway and sewers very important to the two gangs as a new connection point. Is there anything like that causation effect in Arkham Knight? Did the militia and their plans evolve at all? I mean, yeah, Scarecrow's Ace Chemicals plan wasn't successful, but he had a plan B. It could be a possibility that he knew it would fail because Scarecrow wanted to torture the Batman, not just blow up the city for some reason.
You're crazy. The Knight wouldn't do that to us. I'm serious, man. Think about it. If Ace had blown at full capacity, there'd be no hiding from the gas. We're plan freaking B. And you know what? I bet there's a plan C waiting if we don't work out. You put it like that, I want to be plan C.
This is a tactical army and pretty much all they do is protect an area and wait for Batman to destroy them, or the operator just sends in a few tanks to Batman's location that he will obviously destroy. In another video I will look further into exactly what I am saying with more examples and details that can make for a significant part of a different video, more focused on gameplay. Batman Arkham Knight is heavily inspired by the idea of war. A war is about fighting your opponent. In this game, the Arkham Knight and Scarecrow just run away and do their own plans, while the militia's only job is to defend. I feel like there should be a struggle like a real world, and not just with Batman and the militia, but with the citizens and cops on Batman's side too. And yeah, there was a little bit of that with the GCPD getting attacked near the end, but it was always just Batman fighting alone. What if each district acted as a trench and each side had to win and lose them? The GCPD has no territory really, and don't tell me the overly boring and repetitive militia tower side mission is like trench and territory warfare. Like I said, all the militia do is protect, and only that. The streets and layout of the city have nothing to do with how any group of people act in the game. Arkham Knight doesn't have a game design mechanic like the highway from Arkham City, and something like that would really develop the realism and detail of this war idea. It would make you feel as if you were actually there, because a real war's outcome is affected by the landscape and the people who fight in it. Scarecrow's main weapon is his gas, and there could have been a huge connection to the use of gas during World War I. I think one part of war that they at least tried to replicate was the tragedy of war. I think the death scene of Poison Ivy is one of the best cutscenes in the game and has one of the best music tracks too.
Nature always wins.
I just think wars have massive death tolls, yet this city is empty and barren. The fear gas didn't kill any of the thugs really either. Symbolically, many people die. Batman as a protector and former myth of Gotham dies, the Arkham Knight dies and Red Hood is born, and Joker finally dies in Bruce's mind. I think those points are great, but the only death that was really impactful to me was Poison Ivy, ironically. And I praise the writing of that specific scene. Most importantly, no civilians are in true danger. Sure, there's a few firefighters and cops and stuff around, but most of the city, millions of people apparently evacuated out of this danger. Arkham Knight changed its formula in the wrong ways. Now the D-pad is a mission challenge detective mode gadget wheel, many buttons are just switched for no reason, which isn't a big deal on its own, but the game feels fundamentally different pacing wise than the past games in the series. The first hour of the game is a new mission every minute, or an ad about what side mission you should probably do that completely cuts you off from the story. The other games introduced side missions that didn't completely rip you out of the story and weren't in the first hour. They were spread all over the story. The biggest issue to me is the lack of boss fights in this game, which was a huge part of the previous games. The only quote-unquote boss fights are in the Bat Tank, and they are copy and pasted all over the game. The Arkham Knight helicopter was an unmanned and underwhelming boss fight, and the Cloudburst tank was a glorified Cobra tank. There were no hand-to-hand combat boss fights at all, unless this one very minor boxer is a boss, and unless you count grappling to a gargoyle as hand-to-hand combat. There are only two good boss fights. The boss fight with Jason Todd in the mall, and the boss fight with Jason Todd and his giant drill vehicle thing. I don't know what you would call it. I like it because it reminds me of great boss fights like the Killer Croc one from Arkham Asylum and the TN1 Bane one from Arkham Origin. The first time I played it, it was pretty scary and feels like a genuine boss fight that is in the same vein as the previous games. Boss fights make for amazing climaxes, challenges, and surprise moments in a game, yet all of these take place in the Bat Tank, are lackluster, and can barely be considered boss fights at all. This is Batman's hardest night. He has to use all of his allies, but most of all he has to use all of his strengths, yet he never fights any of his villains in hand-to-hand combat. If I were writing this game, I would have the Batmobile destroyed halfway through the game, and have Batman surprise us with how much he can do without it. I think an important part of Arkham Knight that they focus way too much on has to do with the basket Rocksteady put their eggs in when making the game. First of all, they put way too many eggs into trying to make as many gameplay elements as possible, while simultaneously forgetting they had to make those elements fun. They also focused a lot on making the gameplay create the story rather than having the story create the gameplay. Second of all, they put way too many eggs into technology. They spent so long trying to make the Batmobile work and make every street corner destructible. They spent too long on the fact that this game has no loading screens. They had to make sure every hair on a person was visible and the graphics were top notch. They wanted this so bad that they delayed the game just to make their tech work. What makes games truly memorable is not how many pixels each texture had or if you can see pores on people's faces. What makes games memorable is the story, the gameplay, and the feeling the game gives you. Arkham Knight spent too long trying to be a technological innovation rather than being the last grand Arkham game. A game that would have truly shocked the entire gaming world, but this game was just a normal game, an average game. It was treated like every other AAA game of that year. Maybe the game devs were too much in their own heads to really think about what we liked and wanted. They took what we wanted, the Batmobile, and experimented on something that probably shouldn't have been experimented on so much. They completely ignored how the storytelling was done in all the other games and didn't hire their old writer, Paul Dini. The game was some kind of experiment. Think about the no loading screens, the dual play system, the use of visual tricks. A lot of these were great, but I think they weren't focused on what we liked necessarily, but what they thought was a technological achievement on their part. Like this was some type of tech demo for their next game.
Will be worth nothing at all.
I made a lot of bold statements about things in the game that are very much interpretable, and I could be wrong, so tell me how you interpret them.